You know, Walter, had you awakened on time, we would have been there by now. I said, you know, Walter, had you awakened on time, we would have been there by now. Walter, you're not listening to me, are you?
Yes, dear.
Walter, seems you never listen to me anymore. You don't listen to a word I say, and you're not even listening to me now, are you?
No, dear.
Walter.
Sorry.
Walter Mitty. Now to you, he may seem like your everyday, average Joe Schmo, but in reality, he's just a little bit, a kind of small little bit of Good, we've got your attention. Wake up! Now, other than that, he's pretty normal. Of course, that's if you consider normal to be
falling asleep at the wheel,
or
having fantasies every 5 minutes,
or
killing your family.
He didn't kill his family. What are you doing? We're supposed to be showing them how to do duo. Are you screwing up the lines?
No, I'm daydreaming. It's just taking over in front of all these people and what's the matter?
You know, that's actually okay. You know, our character is a daydreamer, and in fact, he daydreams so much that he even merits his own entry in the English language dictionary as the Walter Mitty type. Would you please stop that? Please? Sorry. James Thurber's stories were often well received during his lifetime, but many of his critics would have you regard them as being simplistic, even one-dimensional.
However, as Thurber would say in his defense, the appreciative smile,
The chuckle,
the silent smirk, also important to the success of comedy, can never be appreciated unless one sits among the audience
and feels the warmth from the quality of laughter that audience takes home.
So please, sit back, relax, but above all, enjoy yourselves. As we present Scott Kyle's adaptation of the classic story,
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty
by James Thurber.
Now, why is that plane flying so low for?
What?
Those pilots go to aviation school. I know they do. And why is that plane flying so low for?
Engine bomber.
That's a great plane. You know, we are never going to make it.
Status report!
Sir, we're never going to make it, sir. This is the worst storm in 20 years in Navy flight.
Steady, men. Our mission is to obliterate the enemy's northern fleet, and we will not turn back.
Sir, it's calling for a hurricane if you ask me, sir.
I'm not asking you, Lieutenant Boo. I'm telling you. Now turn on that power line.
Yes, sir.
Rubber up to 85.
Aye, aye, sir.
Full strength to turn number 3.
Full strength to number 3 turret, sir.
Good work. Give me the Navy phone.
Navy phone, yes, sir.
Navy operations. This is Navy Flight 397. We're en route to attack the enemy's northern fleet. We see.
Sir! Sir, the emergency wind barriers. They're crabulating.
Oh, let them crabulate.
The old man will get us through. The old man, he ain't afraid of anything. No, sir, the old man, he ain't afraid of hell. He'll look the devil himself in the eye and then just kick him into you-know-where. Oh, sir, target has been spotted, sir.
Good work, Tubby. Prepare the big one.
Oh, it's prepared.
Watch out my countdown.
Aye, aye, sir.
5, 4,
3, sir.
3, 2, 1, launch!
Contact! We have contact.
Good work, Tubby. Here we go, parachute. I'm going in.
Yes, sir. And, sir, I just wanted to let you know it was a pleasure working with you, Walter Mitty. What are you doing, Walter Mitty? You are feeding. That's what you're doing. Like a maniac all over the road. Now, slow down. This is the hairdresser's coming up, but I don't want you to miss it, Walter. You're driving so fast, you're going to drive right by it, Walter. This is the hairdresser's. Walter, this is the hairdresser's on the right. Walter, not wrong. That was the hairdresser's. Well, I guess we're just going to circle around the next block. Just start circling back around. You're certainly having one of your days again. Maybe you should go see a doctor or something. I think a doctor can help you.
Why? Hello, nurse.
Oh, hello, doctor. I'm so glad you could make it. It's the millionaire banker Wellington McMillan. He's been shot.
Ah, Wellington McMillan, huh?
Yes, doctor, where have you been?
Operating room 219 all day.
219.
Working on that poor boy. Patient Anderson.
Patient Anderson? But he was pronounced dead 2 days ago.
I know. Somebody's got to keep up the hope, right? No, don't touch. I need to get through this on my own. 1, 2, 3.
Doctor, you're in no condition to operate. You haven't slept in over 72 hours. Hospital regulations say that you can't operate.
Damn your hospital regulations, nurse. Just tell me what's wrong with the man. Wait, let me guess. Obstructus of the ductal tract. Tertiary.
Well, now, how in the devil's armpit. Did you know that? Well, the anesthesia.
Central propane, 202, I believe.
Well, you are good.
Thank you.
But the only way to perform this operation is by using the complicated exercising machine.
Oh,
and no one's used this since Adventure 1, Lulia Hernandez, and he died in the process. We never told anybody how to use the machine. If you don't use that machine, you can die. And if you guys don't do my job, lose my job, I can't pick my school loan. If I can't pick my school loan, then I am gone from self-facts. What?
Hand it to me.
Right, Doctor. Doctor, the machine! It's cribulating! Cribulating? There's no way to perform this operation without that machine.
Nurse, hand me your body.
Bobby pin, correct. All right, I don't know what that's going to do. Doctor.
There. Hold on. But only for 10 minutes.
He's even better than MacGyver. Doctor, look! Choreosis has set in. Oh no!
Choreosis, and yet I don't flinch.
Doctor, you must hurry. You must.
I must.
Scalpel. Forceps. Forceps. Doctor, you better hurry. His pulse is getting weaker.
Does it look like I'm taking a break?
Doctor, the lights. Oh no, it must be the power generator again.
You can't take another one from me. Nurse, monitor this man's pulse.
Yes, Doctor. It's getting weaker. Doctor, we're gonna lose him. Please, Doctor, we're gonna lose him. Doctor, I'm sorry. He's gone. Why?
Got another one.
I'm sorry, Doctor. Damn it. He's alive! Yes! His pulse is getting stronger.
Really?
Oh, and the lights have come back on. Well, you are good.
Thank you.
Do you, think there's any way I could get that bobby pin back from you?
Well, I might need it for another operation.
Oh. Walter Mitty, what are you doing? What are you making that face for? You look like a prune sitting there. Now, slow down, you're driving too fast again. I wish for once in your life you could just hurry along so we could be on time for a change. Slow down! You're going to be so late because you won't hurry. Slow down! I missed my hair appointment with Shaniqua. Shaniqua is the only one who understands my hair. Oh, Walter, wish for once in your life you could just hurry yourself along. Slow down! Walter, you are sweating. Walter, you're sweating like a horse. You look as if you're going to be shot sitting there. Walter Mitty, do you wish to be blindfolded, Walter Mitty?
To hell with your blindfold.
Very well, then. Even the most prestigious of spies enjoy a last cigarette. I would know because I have executed most of them.
I don't smoke. Besides, I heard they're bad for your health.
Yes, Mr. Mitty, but so are guns. So are guns.
Yeah, but are you sure you can shoot me with that gun, General?
Oh, I believe I can.
Why don't you take a closer look at it? It's cribulating.
My gun! It's cribulating! Oh, that cribulating! You may have bested the Red Baron of the East. You may have desecrated my entire southern regiments and single-handedly wiped out my northern fleets. But I have you now. And death is whimsical today, my friend.
Well, I don't think I'm scared of your brand of death, General.
Well, you should be.
Well, I'm not.
Well, you should be.
Well, I'm not. Because I am an American.
Well, you should be.
If you're going to chew my ear off all day, why don't you let me issue the final order to the firing squad?
Oh, you want to issue the final order to the firing squad?
Yeah.
You want to do so badly? Fine. Firing squad, you will now take command from Lieutenant Commander Mitty. Fine, go ahead. You're so smart.
All right, man. Right shoulder arms. Forward arms. Aim. About face march.
What are you doing? Come back here. What are you doing? You're supposed to be shooting him. Oh, Walter Mitty, I'll get you yet, Walter Mitty. I'll fight you to the death, Walter Mitty. You want to tussle, eh? All right, Walter Mitty. Let's fight, Walter Mitty. To the death, Walter Mitty. What are you doing, Walter Mitty? You are speeding again after I told you all day to slow this car down.
Oh, dear.
So, Walter, I do know what? A speeding speeder in my car. This is not a race car. You are not in the Indy 500. Slow the car down, Walter. Walter, you're getting a little faster, Walter. Walter, you need to slow the car down right now. Walter, we are in residential. Walter, look out for the baby. Oh, Walter, something's wrong with the car. Walter, the whole car is starting to shake, Walter. I think we have a flat tire. Walter, Walter, stop the car and fix the flat tire! Oh, let it regulate!
Yes. So we're like owing you money now?
Yes. Yes, there'll be $100 right over here.
Some very, very nice fade-out techniques utilized to go from Walter Mitty and his wife into the fantasy world. Not a lot of movement on the part of this gentleman right here. He was the centerpiece. And the fantasy world was over here, and the reality was on this side. And it was a very nice, simple decision to do that, and because it provided great clarity for the entire audience. Questions to these performers? There should be many questions if you're interested in doing duo. Yes, sir.
Beyond the fact that you addressed that you were actually doing duo, did you take any other liberties with the piece?
I don't understand.
Well, when you addressed the fact that you were showing us how to do the duo.
Yeah, well, whenever our book is closed, technically that's your own words, and we would change that depending on whatever competition we were at. So when we were at AFA, we would say, dude, we're at AFA, this is final, or whatever, you need to get your, heads together so we can, get this thing rolling. So, I mean, but naturally, because we're showing this to you, we just would plug in wherever we were at.
What's applicable at the time?
But other than that, no. Whenever the book is open, that's the author's written word. You're not, you can make cuts, but no real changes.
Right. The first minute portion of their duo and Rachel's poetry is called a teaser. And then they close their binders, they do the introduction, and they come back in and they finish off the piece for you. So they tease you, they introduce you to what they're going to do, and then they finish it off. Yes, ma'am. You.
How much would you say you practiced from the first time you received this piece till the first time you actually performed it?
It's twofold, because I mean we practiced a lot, but I think there's something that just goes in saying that like we've been friends for going close to 11 years now, and have always done stuff together. So like a lot of what you see, like I know there's just some stuff that is just like chemistry between the two of us. And that's something that I think just goes beyond practice, but
For probably to answer your question, no, I mean, we took this as semis at AFA, which was nice, but I think that was really only supplemented by the fact that the very first competition we went to, which was the warm-up, which they're going to be having again next week. I think a lot of you might be going to that at El Camino, but we not only didn't do well at that competition, we were dead last, like very last, and there was just a lot of learning. I mean, we understood the rules on paper, but there's a lot of getting into the community, kind of seeing how it's done logistically. And so while we had it memorized, that wasn't the problem. It was more of just tweaking what we were. I mean, obviously you didn't see what you were talking about before with like the real serious emotion, but that kind of worked to our advantage with this piece because James Thurber is known as a humorous writer. He's not a dramatic writer. So I mean, it didn't really call for any dramatic things, but I think that's what ultimately got stayed. There were a lot of judges who did have problems with that, is that there was never any moment that they would cry.
There were elements that weren't Thurber. Could you address that? Because I remember earlier in the year that we had an issue with
there was an issue about that. This was an adaptation. So the Secret Life of Walter Mitty is a short story. It was also made into a film. How we ran across this piece was I was directing a play in Hollywood, and one of the actors that I hired to play was just, he on his website was doing these like updates of older material, kind of making it more modern, making it more accessible to audiences. And he had done some of these a while back, and he was showing me some of them, and they were just killing me because I thought this was pretty funny. And so we just kind of started tweaking with that. But it is an adaptation. So basically, somebody, Walter Mitty, James Thurber writes the short story, and then Scott Kyle adapted it, and then we used it. We used Scott Kyle's adaptation. So if that makes sense.
And part of the brilliance of duo also, which was very well displayed here, is that you have to find chemistry between the two people performing that can then bleed into or overlap or translate into the relationships that you create within the story. Whatever dramatic interpretation you choose to do, you have to have some kind of connection, both emotionally and figuratively with each other, because without that connection, it's just two people talking at dead space. Yes, ma'am?
So what you were saying at the beginning is that there's a central person and then one person actually has some movement.
Not necessarily, though. I mean, that's if you're doing this piece, that's probably the best way to do it, because we tried to do every variation of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of it, just in this piece in general, like a lot of the reasons why we did that is we wanted to create, in a sense, like a curtain that you could pass and back of me to like I said, just help that fantasy transition.
It's kind of like in Disneyland, where you got the show and there's like the two main characters and you got the third person who's like playing off, like throwing on the wig. It's the same guy over and over again. So, kind of weird. I don't know why it's
That's for data.
I have a question. I know that there were different genders in here. Obviously, you guys are both male. I have a question for my students who said, can I change the gender of a character in the writing? So you have to ask.
Yeah, if they're written as female, you got to play them as female. So, it worked to our advantage, I think, because it was just silly and funny. But you can't do that. So if they're written as female, they got to be female.
Yeah, you don't want to rewrite the literature. You don't want to say Arthur Miller was wrong. Death of a Salesman is not about a man. It's about an old woman, and she's black, and she lives in New Orleans, and you can't rewrite it. It's the way it's written, and part of what we are judging you on in competitions is how truthful are you to that literature. And truthfulness does not come from playing it the exact way that everyone has done it before. It's what you bring, your own personal truth to the script. And it's that script which is the foundation, but your imagination and your performance which brings it up out of there. Other questions? Oh, yes.
Sorry, my question is this. You're obviously allowed a lot more movement when you have a duo partner. But did you have any problems with judges that didn't like the movement, or was it too much for them?
Not too much of it.
We had one judge say it once, but I just in competitions in general, every once in a while you'll get a card that to you just don't understand. You kind of toss it out there. But I think we did get it once. We noticed that we were, like you said, a little bit. We didn't go as crazy as some duos do in blocking. Like some duos have a lot of it's almost like play going on. Like there's that much movement in it where we try to anchor it, and with our blocking, because it was something classic, and another thing as well is we wanted to try and stay somewhat with like what we knew of as a classic duo, like the style of it just staying in one place.
There wasn't much call for us to leave those marks. I mean, if there was like any of the props that he was calling for, the scalpel and everything, there was really no need to walk all the way, because it messed up our flow of timing for me to go over and grab and bring it back. It's like just reach and grab. And I mean, you guys understood that it was going for a scalpel because he just said scalpel. It's not. I don't think many people are going, you really should have walked further for scalpel.
And as long as hopefully your judges will understand that if your actions are motivated, you should be fine. Don't try to create a lot of show if there's nothing there.
Let me tell a real quick story. I was at one competition, and there was a girl. There were two in a duo, and this girl was wearing real high-heeled shoes, and they were on the linoleum floor. And she kept tapping her foot for one, and so like every 5 lines it did this cluck, 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 or whatever, and then she kind of stopped and cluck, cluck, cluck. Well, then for no reason at all, absolutely no reason, she walked behind the character, the other guy, and says a line, and then walks back. And the way that she was walking was so loud with those shoes. I don't know what the vowels were saying, but I could barely listen to what they were saying because I was so like just resonating throughout the room. This like loud, high-heeled shoe.
I think a safe way to say some things with blocking is that you had to just go with the box thing, where you just have like a box around you and just try to play within those parameters.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question actually. When you're
I think it's kind of the same as, well, I think traditionally you're supposed to do one scene, and it needs to be a play. So either a teleplay, a screenplay, whatever, a radio play or a traditional play. But I think traditionally they want you to do just one play or one scene from that play. But I think now they're starting to get more into programs of taking a theme and then pulling from a couple different plays, and you're kind of injecting like several different artists or several different writers who are all writing about the same topic, and then doing a lot of those. We saw one last year that was really nice about the seduction of younger men by older women, and so they were doing the Graduate and like a couple other things all at the same time together.
So my other thought was that when we're looking at the other poetry, she has comedy and she has seriousness. You weren't asked to have better presentation to make it more.
I'll say this: I know we definitely suffered because we were humorous throughout, and but we made the conscious decision. We were like, okay, we straightened the balance back, and occasionally there's some ballots that you might want to listen to. Judges are just people, so they're going to have opinions. And while we only got one ballot saying, hey, you're moving too much, we knew to say that's the only ballot that we're getting out of 20 ballots. So maybe we should just not listen to that person as much. But which isn't to say that they don't listen to them. But obviously, when we're getting back all these ballots saying you don't have a serious moment, you don't have a serious moment, we're going, well, should we just jump this piece, or what should we do? And we just decided to power through it and say, you know what, let's just make a reason for why we're only doing humorous stuff. And we tweaked that out in the intro.
That's what I was going to say. It's just that it became, that's what we made the piece about. That was the argument that you put, and like I said, in Thurber says there is that seriousness, there is something in connecting the audience that's hard, and there is something special with comedy, and it does garner attention in this setting. Because a lot of what you do in picking pieces is that this is an opportunity to make an argument or make a statement about something that you feel is important. And in doing that, like I said, we like comedy at this point. It was just something that we really loved and we wanted to do it. And that's kind of what Robert had said and how we thought about it. So we made that our argument.
And there is no way of knowing what formula is going to work. It's literally what your strength is. If humor is your strength, then I wouldn't want to force two of my students who don't know how to do comedy, who have no timing at all, to do this. And be like, let's go get a tragedy. How about Hamlet? And that's just playing up your strengths. Ideally, in forensic competition, everybody wants to hear some funniness and they want to get pierced to the heart of it. But that might not be what is your strength as a performer, or it might not be your choice in that event. You can do many events. We need one other person over here.
I just want to know that then does it hurt you if you have too much humor or too much seriousness?
It's just exactly what he said. I mean, you got to play it out and kind of see. If your humor is really good and your seriousness is really good and you've got it well balanced, then it sounds like you've got a pretty good piece. And would you mind letting me borrow it? It's like.
I think what the argument that is made about the reason why you want to have a good mix of things is that for a judge and there's many factors in going into why you get the ranking that you do, but one of those things being is that you can do one thing, you can do comedy or you can do drama, but if you can do both and you can show that range and you can show how you can go and manipulate between the two of them and transition between that, that's an even stronger skill set. It's not that this is bad or anything like that, it's just that it's one thing. Like I said, they're looking at a range of things, and that's just one.
I'm not putting too far a point on it, but we felt like comedy in general was being dismissed as, if somebody did a straight serious piece, it would be, oh, that's still pretty good, because they made me cry. But if you do a straight comedy piece, I feel like a lot of people, judges in particular, are just kind of dismissive of it. It's like, oh, you just made me laugh for 10 minutes, and that's not hard. Well, I mean, that is kind of hard to do. Well, I mean, as we found out, we played in a lot of dead rooms where it's like, not funny. It's sweating the break up here, because at least with the drama, if you're not doing well, you don't know it.
We're going to have to close off the discussion, sum it up real quick. But one thing that I'd like to address with this line of questioning is, it's kind of like a gamble. If you, whatever you decide to do, it's all about luck as well. Forensics might not just be about your talent and the topic you pick, it's also luck. Because if they got stuck in a round with 5 very dramatic pieces that all of them made you cry, they would stand out as the one breath of fresh air where they're like, oh, thank God, I don't have to cry anymore. I can just laugh a little. That luck would be on their side in that round. If they got stuck in a round with 5 other humorous pieces, it would be a completely different round. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind as a competitor. Every round that you compete in is not a 100% indication of your talent or your piece. It's so many different factors. Just do what you do and do it to the best of your ability, and that's all you can do.
Could I just add one thing to that?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I said the thing that we learned was just determination. Again, we came in dead last in the first competition we went to. We weren't breaking in subsequent competitions. Our coaches were like, get in a piece, get in a piece, get in a piece. And we had many, many conversations between the two of us about, should we go for this new piece? Should we do it? Should we do it? And we kept but we knew that this was funny, this is what we wanted to do, and we just started tweaking this until we made it work. So just keep coming back. If you know in the deep center of you, this is the one that I want to do, and nobody can talk you out of it, make it work. Make it fit into the circuit. But if you're doing something that's like, I think this might be good, and everybody's like, dude, what is this? Then jump it and move on. So find your. I know I just totally contradicted myself, but I think.